Step number 59, which is filling the diff and putting it together and screwing it together. Can get messy, and sometimes if you do it right, it's not that bad. First thing we want to do, out of experience, is to make sure that our plugs are in. Nothing like filling up a diff and having it leak all over the place because you forgot to put the plugs in. Second thing we're going to do, just like with any other rubber gasket, is we're going to lubricate it. And again, you can use your diff fluid or you can use some green slime. We're going to go ahead and lube it up just like so. And as long as we have it in our hands, let's go ahead and lay it over the box. And it's going to drop down inside the little groove. What you want to do is to make sure that it's actually down inside that groove properly all the way around. And the green slime or your diff fluid will actually help glue it into place. We may have to revisit that later, but we'll put it on. I've gone ahead also, because our hands may be greasy, and I've put the little lock washers on our bolts, and there's 4 of those. We've gone ahead and inserted those. Gotten out our diff fluid, and then we're also going to need some blue Loctite. And just to save time again, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dab of Loctite on each one of my screws so that they're ready to go. Let's open up our silicone fluid. Lots of choices. We're building by the book, so we're going to use the 1,000 weight. And that's about as light as anybody would go. The heavier that you go, the more positraction type action you're going to get, but you also do get more push in your steering. So do your research, and now if you're doing anything other than normal driving, you'll probably know what diff fluid you want to use, but 1,000 weight is actually the best for just about anything. We're going to put the diff fluid down inside the diff, and we're going to want to fill it up to basically the top. If you take a look at your crosshairs on your posts here, we're going to want to fill it up just to the top of the crosshairs. This is thick, and it does take a little time for it to soak in. So put it in, let it soak down. You might be able to see that in the camera. See if we can hold it up here a little better. You can see it soaking down in. You're going to want to do that until it covers the crosshairs, or right at. Another thing that you can do too to help it soak in is to move the gears around a little bit. You don't want to spin them all the way around, because then the fluid gets onto the gears and it's not going to give you an accurate measurement of how much is in there. If you put a little bit too much in, that's okay. It's not really going to leak out. Let that settle in, and you can see maybe just right to the top of the crosshairs. Give it a couple minutes to settle in. Make sure that you have an accurate reading. Looking at my bottle here, and it looks like we're using about half of it. Just to give you an idea, where's my hobby knife? I've got to cut the label off of this thing. Oh well. Yeah, it looks like we're using a little less than half the bottle. Now that that's on, we're going to find the little plug, and we're going to grab our second half of the diff and find the little plug. If you notice, I hold my thumb on there so that gear doesn't fall off. I'm going to find the little plug, and we're going to align those up so that they're the same. And we're going to drop the we're going to drop the gear is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and drop this down on top. If that gear does fall down in there, that's okay. Just set it down in there, put it together, and make sure that you're aligned and that the diff goes all the way together, all the way around. One thing that we do want to look for is make sure that you're not pinching that gasket. The gasket should fall down inside the groove on the top half as well. These two are aligned. Okay. All looks good. Let's grab our gear, and as we look at this, we want to make sure that the diff half with the longer or thicker ear is pointing down. Let's take a look at our gear. We have a flat portion here, and if you look at the inside, it has the little grooves for the ears on the diff case. So we're going to take the hollow portion here. We're going to slide it down over the top of the diff and align the little ears up with the ears on the diff. Press down on it. That's what it should look like. Now we're going to go ahead and insert our screws. There's 4 of them. We're going to start with one and put it in. Screw it in just till it touches. Don't torque it down. If you haven't put Loctite on your screws already, it is pretty mandatory that you do that in this step. You don't want these backing out. Just till it touches. Wow, we haven't spilled a drop of diff fluid. We're doing good this time around. It can get messy, especially if somehow you mess up and you have to take it apart once it's full. Not something you really want to do. But it looks like we're cruising right along here. Now that we have all 4 in, we're going to go around in a back and forth pattern and slowly tighten them. What we don't want to do is just tighten it up all at one time and warp the diff case. Until they're all snugged down. Don't be afraid to torque these down, but keep a good feel on your wrench so that you don't strip out any screws. And that, my friends, is how we build a diff. Last thing that we're going to do is check for any binding. And if it's all functioning properly, we're going to move on to build the transmission. How we're going to check it is we're going to grab both halves and we're going to move them just like so. Should be nice and smooth. You shouldn't have any bump, 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 bump grinding. However, you will feel a little bit of grindiness in there, which will go away after the first couple times that you run it. It should move nice and smooth. This one feels real good. Okay, we've just built the diff. Let's go ahead and at this point get our pieces out for step number 60 and 61 and 62. Oh no!